Okay, it's 7 o'clock and we will open today's meeting of the Berlin Board of Health, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022, at approximately 7 p.m. It is being done via Zoom. Anyone who wishes to participate will be given the opportunity. This is being recorded, so people can weigh in after the fact as such. And there's all that other extraneous gobbledygook that goes with it. But after a couple of years, I think we can move forward with getting this meeting underway.
All right.
So, Bill, you want to start with your simple stuff?
Yes, I do see that Don Provencher's here. I just, if you'd like, we could have him speak about the Highland Ridge.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because unfortunately, our first hearing's not until 7:45, so I think we can probably cover everything until that hearing begins. And since Don's here, I think I left him a message. Meeting started at 7, so why not take Don?
That works. Okay, we will do that.
Great. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
All right, good. I did a preliminary conceptual hydrogeologic evaluation. I don't know if you have a copy of that in front of you.
Yeah, Sue, that's the letter I had forwarded probably last week to be shared tonight. I don't know if you...
I read it.
Yep,
Okay.
I have it as well.
That's the water quality one. It was like 2 or 3 pages long.
Yeah, a couple of text pages, and there was a graphic in the back.
It's quantity and quality, I think.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, so it doesn't need to be shared. If everyone's read it, Don can speak about it.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. That's what I was wondering, if you wanted me to share it or not. But if you've got already copies in front of you, that's fine. So Brian Clark from Highland Ridge, he's been my client. I designed the drinking water system that's in place, the public water supply that serves that project. And he informed me that they were applying for an irrigation well, which I wasn't really involved with until he told me that there was some questions about potential impacts, possibly to some abutters in the area. So I kind of looked at this and said, well, I can do a preliminary hydrogeo evaluation to kind of use a couple of other proxy perspectives, I guess, from assuming like if the well was going to be a permitted well with DEP, for example, a transient non-community water supply. Basically, the DEP would require an evaluation of within the interim wellhead protection area if this well was a public water supply well. And the interim wellhead protection area is, there's a calculation there, as you see on sheet 1, and it's based on the withdrawal of the well. And the IWPA radius would be 578 feet. So within that 578 feet of that well, the DEP would require us to evaluate if there are any impacts to any private wells around there. That flow rate is based on, Brian had indicated that the highest estimate that they have for irrigation demand would be 8,000 gallons per day. He doesn't think that would happen on a daily basis, but that would be the most they'd ever want to pump. So using that number, that's how you back into the 578 feet. So on the graphic, if you look on the last page of the graphic over there, I showed where the irrigation well is sited on the property. It's kind of right near the clubhouse, which is where the public water supply pump station is located. So the 578-foot radius, it looks like it eclipses the back of the 2 lots. They're shown here, number 40 and number 30, what is that, 35? Yes, I think it's 35. Just have to zoom in there. Highland Street. So I don't know where the wells on number 40 and 35 are, but I would venture to bet that they're probably not out near that stream that crosses in the back of those properties over there. So if I were doing this as if this irrigation well were considered a public water supply well, there would essentially be no private wells in that 578-foot radius that I would have to evaluate if there were going to be any impacts to. And again, I'm not 100% sure. It's possible. It's always possible there could be a well within that red circle, but I have to venture to bet that there's not. It looks like the houses on those two lots are sort of towards the middle and the front of the properties. So I would not expect there to be a well that close to the stream back there. And it doesn't look like there's any other developed properties within that 578-foot radius. So I'm just kind of using that to compare to what the DEP would require us to evaluate within that circle if this was a public water supply well. I look at this as a public water supply well would be more stringent than an irrigation well and would have more requirements with it. So if we were not required to, evaluate any wells, if no wells exist within that circle, if this was analogous to a public water supply well, it would seem to be, that would be more stringent than what's required for irrigation. The second aspect of this that I evaluated is the stream itself, which looks like it runs, at the back of those two properties and then eventually feeds into a wetland system. As you can see with the green area is the wetland system, and that blue line is the stream. There's a stream that passes through. So a stream is considered a hydraulic boundary. And essentially what that means is the groundwater system tends to originate in the uplands from precipitation that recharges. That groundwater flows to a hydraulic discharge boundary, which is typically a wetland, a stream, a pond. And that wetland and stream and pond, that hydraulic boundary typically acts as sort of a hydraulic barrier. So any induced drawdown from pumping that well would not likely get past that hydraulic boundary. That hydraulic boundary sort of prevents the propagation of additional drawdown that comes from this well. So I just pointed that out in the memo that, based on that, it's unlikely that any drawdown, any pumping of the irrigation well that's shown here, it's not likely to extend beyond that hydraulic boundary over there. And then the last thing that I did was I basically looked at the area of the site and how much daily recharge falls on that site. So the way we look at this, and I do this for water withdrawals like golf courses and things. This is a way to make sure that you're not over pumping your own water that falls on your own site. So as you go through this, typically we get about 46.5 inches of rain in a year. Half of that evaporates or gets transpired back to the atmosphere from vegetation. And the other 23.5 inches is available as runoff. So some of that runs off and goes into surface water, but a lot of it percolates down into the groundwater. And if you're in more of a sand and gravel type of setting, you're out of that 23.5 inches of runoff that's available, typically 15.5 inches would recharge into the sand and gravel aquifer. But that's not what we have out here. We actually have more of a glacial till kind of rolling topography out there. 5.25 inches is expected to recharge. So basically out of the 46 inches of precipitation, really only about 5.25 inches makes it into the groundwater in this site. And that's based on the soils that we have out there. So I'm using a conservative number. It's a conservatively low number. That's the recharge over the site. So I took the site acreage of 55 acres, multiplied it by that 5.5 inches per year, and basically converted that. What do we got here? It calculates out to an average of about 21,480 gallons per day. So even though it doesn't rain every day, on average, out of the whole year, when you cut it up into 365 days, you're going to get about 21,480 gallons per day going into the groundwater system at the site. So to compare that, I'm comparing that 21,000 to the 8,000 gallons a day of irrigation demand, plus the 9,900 gallons a day of potable demand from their own public water supply wells. So when you add up that withdrawal, that adds up to 17,900 gallons per day of combined withdrawal. Now, we all know, you know, the 9,900 gallons a day, that's a Title V design flow. They're very unlikely to use that. You usually use about 60% of that, perhaps, for a residential setting. The 8,000 gallons a day is an irrigation demand, as we know, is probably only going to be experienced in the summer. Obviously, the irrigation is off in the winter. But even so, with all of that, we still, I'm demonstrating here is the precipitation that recharges the groundwater on the site of 21,480 gallons a day still exceeds the 17,900 gallons that we would withdraw as a maximum for any single day. So we're not over pumping the water that's available to us. That's kind of what this is suggesting. So basically, just given those three analogies, you know, there's nothing in these three analogies that, to me, as a hydrogeologist, civil engineer, would concern me that we are over pumping the on-site wells, or that we are causing a drawdown condition that's going to exacerbate itself significant enough off the property to affect any other wells. You know, to go and try to do a pump test on the irrigation well after it's drilled and monitor in a butter's private well presents a certain significant number of logistical challenges to that. And I've done that for large withdrawals for public water supply wells. I have monitored private wells. As I was showing, you know, I don't think it's warranted in this situation. But some of those difficulties are accessing a private well that's in use and trying to measure the water level in a private well while it's going up and down all on its own by the people living in those homes. You know, that would be, you don't really get a good, you can't really compare anything because the well is going up and down on its own as it's being used by the homeowner, that private well. So you would have to basically shut that well off for a few days, let it recover, so those people wouldn't be able to use their well for a few days while you did the pump test on the irrigation well and measured if we had any drawdown in the private well. You can't really measure drawdown in a private well when the well is active. You have to deactivate it, and people can't really live in their house when the well is deactivated. So we would put people out of their homes for a matter of a few days, which is, you know, that's a significant challenge, right? So, you know, because originally Brian was asking me if we can monitor in a butter well when we did a pump test on the irrigation well. And I say it can be done, but there's certainly some challenges presented to that. The only other way to do it with keeping the well, the private well, active is to put a transducer in the private well. And what you would have to do is you'd have to get a baseline of about 2 or 3 weeks of the private well operating on its own, then compare what that water level, so you get a high and you get a low water level in the well under its own operation. A private well, when it pumps, will draw down to a certain level. The well pump will shut off and it'll rebound to a certain level. And those kind of pretty much are the same levels. You know, the upper level stays the same, the lower level stays the same. If we did a pump test on the irrigation well and we saw that pattern dip a little bit, you know, the rebound level would drop a little bit and the drawdown level would drop a little bit. And then after we stopped pumping the irrigation well, those private well levels would kind of bounce back to what they were before the test. That would be a way to monitor it as well. But you're talking about putting a device, and you got to really measure the private well on a frequency of probably every 30 seconds. You'd have that device in there for a period of probably a month. That's a very costly scenario. There's also other kind of risks associated with putting any kind of equipment in a private well. It could get tangled up in the well equipment, the wire guards, the drop pipe. That would present a problem because now you've just made a problem in a well that didn't have a problem. And no one likes to create problems for where there are none. And it just, you know, you're also risking affecting the abutter's water quality by introducing bacteria in a well as well. So it's really a last resort that I do not recommend, is to go inside a private well and try to monitor a private well for drawdown when you pump a different well. So that's the reason why I'm a little reluctant to propose any kind of pump test scenario where we're monitoring any private wells out here. Then the other thing is, you can never control when the private well owner uses that well. And I'm not saying this would happen, but there's always an opportunity if the private well owner knows when the pump test is being done. All they need to do is use their well a little bit more often, and it's going to give the appearance that there's drawdown caused by the irrigation well, when it could very well just be caused by their own pumping of their own well. So you can't really control the environment in a private well that way. So those are kind of the logistics. That's why it's a challenge. It's not a simple thing to do. So I looked at it from the other three perspectives, and there's nothing in those three perspectives that I originally discussed tonight that would lead me to believe there's any concern about drawing down any abutters wells in this area. So if you have any questions from that, then we'll try to answer as best I can.
I have several. First of all, the distance of 578 feet, is that a DEP distance?
Yes, that's the interim wellhead protection area. If this well was going to be permitted with the DEP as a public water supply with an 8,000 gallon a day withdrawal, that is the 578 foot radius that they would ask us to evaluate impacts to abutting wells.
Okay, I mean, from my personal opinion, 578 feet doesn't strike me as a great distance when you deal with underground water supplies. And you've made some good points relative to problematic testing. But I have to say that they're all in favor of certainly going ahead with a irrigation well, but I'm not so sure that those problems are insurmountable. I mean, you talk about a resident and, you know, their fluctuating use of water. Well, if you're talking a 2 or 3 person household, you know, chances are there's not a high usage of water. And, you know, with any testing, certainly, on either side of this point, there are, well, fluctuations that are to be expected and can conform to some level of uniformity. You know, all your arguments are to the point that nothing further could or should be done. And I don't know, I personally am not sold on that, because what we're talking about is an unknown. We're underground. There's a certain amount of theory here. And with public water supply wells, and just as a brief segue, how far is this irrigation well proposed from the public water supply of this development?
I would say, just looking at the graphic here, the two public water supply wells are kind of down in the lower corner of the subject property. So if that red line, that red circle is 578 feet, I would say it's probably, the wells are probably a quarter of the way closer to the irrigation well from that circle. So, you know,
150 feet?
Off of the 578. So you're talking probably over 400 feet away from the irrigation well.
Well, you said a quarter of the distance. Quarter of the distance of 578 isn't that?
Well, yeah, whatever, what is it, 140? I mean, I can do the math over here.
Yeah,
It's
roughly 150.
It's inside the radius though of the public water supply?
No, what I was saying is it's a quarter of the way coming back from the radius. So it's 578 minus 144.
So it's inside the radius of the public water supply, correct?
No, it's not. Are you talking about the zone 1 or the IW?
Yeah, zone 1. It's inside that or outside, Brian?
No, it's definitely well outside the zone 1.
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
yeah.
that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I follow that. Please explain a little bit. Forgive me.
Yeah, so what he's asking is the public water supply well has a zone 1, which is much smaller than this IWPA radius here. So the zone 1, trying to remember what size that is. I want to say it's about 220 or 230 feet around the public water supply wells. There's 2 public water supply wells on the Highland Ridge property.
Right.
Right.
And I can actually pull up a plan here. If you give me a second, I can tell you exactly what it is. Let's see. All right, so, okay, so the zone 1 radii on the public wells are 204 feet. Each of the 2 wells has a 204-foot zone 1 around the public water supply well itself. The IWPA for the public water supply wells is 510 feet. Okay. And that does not eclipse into the irrigation well either. Okay. So the irrigation well is outside of the public water supply well zone 1s and IWPA.
Do you have the depth of the public water supply wells in your information?
I do. A matter of finding the right plan.
Sure. Oh, take your time.
Okay, thanks. Yep, here they are. So one well is 285 feet deep. The other well is only 185 feet deep. And they made quite a bit of water, I want to say here. It was, I think they were over 15 gallons a minute or so. So there's a good yield in these. It's a very highly conductive bedrock aquifer where the public water supply wells are. So they're not very deep, they're pretty shallow, which means they probably derive more of their water locally than from further away.
And in your information and your exploration of this situation, was any research done to determine the well depths of a adjacent properties?
No, we did not go through that, and I don't believe
Okay.
DEP required that for the public water supply wells either.
May I ask a question, Brian? Say they were put in and there was a drought, say we had a severe drought, are there regulations we could put in that could shut that well off?
The irrigation well, yeah, I'm sure, I believe there is.
The irrigation, not the other, yeah.
Right, obviously, we wouldn't want to shut people's drinking water off, but
No.
yeah.
There'd be, well, I'm just in a severe drought year, you know what I mean? And we start having problems, especially with your own wells, besides the irrigation.
Yeah, I can't tell you what the statute is, but I will tell you I've been doing this long enough where I remember the town of Hopkinton, it was probably in like 2010, we had a pretty severe drought. And the Board of Health actually banned outdoor irrigation for everybody's private well, believe it or not.
Right.
I didn't know
we have no public water supply in town, so.
Right.
Except for these projects.
Right. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm sure I'm trying to speak for the developer here, the owner. I would say that he would be willing to live with a condition that if there's a drought that occurs that's severe enough that you would require him to stop his irrigation well, I think he would live with that.
Okay. Thank you.
That sounds good, but to me, it's a bit vague. I would like to see something a little more concrete, and I know there are 1 or 2 residents who could not be here tonight who are very concerned with this. So I'm trying to represent them without actually speaking for them, because I don't know their really detailed, specific concerns other than domestic water supply. And we're talking a development that's put in 2 major public water supplies, and now they're looking for a fairly major irrigation well, which, you know, I understand. You know, I don't have an issue with the request. I just want to make sure that possibilities are at least talked about, if not, I'll say clinically addressed. And I want to raise the subject now. You, Prevention Engineering, you've been hired by the developer?
Yes, I was involved originally with, so I did not do the pump tests on the public wells out here. This was permitted several years ago,
right? Yeah.
By someone else.
Understood.
Then I took over, and what I did was I designed the water supply infrastructure out here, which is the pump station, and I was the one who sized the well pumps and the distribution system and everything that's been built out there. Okay. But I definitely have been involved in a lot of pump tests, bedrock wells. That's definitely most of the work that I do.
Right. Yeah. I'm not questioning that. Just
Brian, are there meters on each of the houses to know what they're drawing? You know, for a water supply, is it like a utility bill or meter on the house or on the condos? So
the only thing that's metered are the 2 public wells themselves. So we know how much water is being drawn from the 2 public water supply wells. Mm-hmm. If you're concerned about the irrigation well and making sure they don't, you know, use more than what they're asking for, they could certainly put a meter on the irrigation well, I'm sure. But the houses are not metered because there's no water bills to send out to them.
Right, correct. It's like they have their own well. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's a situation where we're looking at dealing with things after the fact. And it's kind of like the horse is already out of the barn. Right. And I want to prevent that possibility. It's not impossible to prevent it, certainly, but I guess I raised the question of the possibility of a peer review on this water situation and irrigation well situation. Because right now we have one professional opinion, and I'm not discounting it, but recently we just had at our last meeting a very involved septic system. The engineer asked for an okay rather than a peer review, and we denied that and went with a peer review, and lo and behold, there's some changes that need to be made. And that kind of gives me some credence in suggesting that that's an avenue we should take here as well, because that was septic in a very isolated area. We're talking something much more important here in terms of potable water. And I must admit, I don't know how many residents at this point, but that's all information that can be gathered pretty easily. And I think part of this would be knowing the depths of adjacent potable water supply wells. And that's not something that's been addressed here. And I think for the benefit of fellow residents in this town, that's important information, particularly moving forward if this goes into effect, because what happens, I mean, you know, on paper, based on what you've done, Don, everything looks fine, and it may be. I'm not saying it isn't, but if, you know, the ugly head comes up and all of a sudden people are having water problems, where are we? There's nothing in place to alleviate or compensate existing residents because of this new development. So I want to err on the side of caution, maybe through a peer review and a little more extensive digging relative to adjacent residences.
Right. Where a lot of those houses along there are older houses, and I'm not sure if they're shallow wells or hand dug or what have you, and they probably don't have problems now, but that could make a difference.
Do we have any other comments from the board or Bill?
Due to the age of those wells, I don't know how easy it will be to determine the depth other than physical inspection.
No, but I think the effort should be made. I mean, I hear your point, and it's a valid point, but if we don't exercise our due diligence, shame on us.
So if that information is available, that's one thing. As Bill said, if these are old, they may not have records. I don't know, short of asking the homeowner themselves what the well depth is, if they know their own well depth.
Well, is there a problem with asking the homeowner?
No.
Okay.
Assuming their information is correct.
Next point, Don, then, you know, it's just a little bit of common sense here is what I'm trying to
so if you know, if you knew the private well depths, what would that tell you?
Well, that would give some reference relative to the well depth and what aquifer the Highland Commons potable wells are at, and what, you know, the unknown future irrigation well. We need to put some fences around this in case of some issue down the road. And without that initial data, everybody's, you know, basically SOL.
Yeah. I mean,
doesn't that make sense?
Existing conditions, yeah, it does.
Well, it kind of, you know, I don't know if there's any records of any private wells having problems already out there or not.
Oh, I don't either.
My point is, Dawn, without investigation, these questions are all moot, and nobody is asking these questions. And to me, it's incumbent upon the developer to do their homework.
I don't think the answers to the questions we're asking are going to tell us anything. It's going to tell us how deep the private wells are, but that's not going to tell us the fracture patterns.
No, it will not, but it will give us some information. I don't understand why you're not interested in at least some information.
Because I don't see how that information is going to draw any conclusion.
Well, that's one man's opinion, and I respect it. I just
So
don't agree with it.
If a well is 500 feet deep or 700 feet deep or 100 feet deep, what would be the difference? I can't answer that. Can you?
I don't pretend to be able to answer that. I am looking for data that may help and protect people in the future. If you don't establish a baseline, what reference point do you have if a problem comes up? You need to have some kind of data to look at, and it may be meaningless here and now, but down the road it might not be. And we're in a town where it's septic and well water. I don't know how much work you do in these kinds of towns, but it's really pretty important.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I think it's important to confirm that we don't have evidence that suggests we're going to have an impact. I don't know how I would interpret if a well is 100 feet deep or 700 feet deep. That's not going to tell me if there's a greater or less chance of having it be impacted. It matters where the water level is in the well, not just the well depth. So now you got to start uncapping people's wells, sticking probes down there and measuring the water level. That's the risk that I'm worried about. Because now I'm going to get blamed for introducing bacteria and getting people sick at the Board of Health directive.
Really?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. You talk to
I don't know of any company that deals with wells that doesn't do the bleach thing afterwards. And I have never heard of an occasion where that didn't take care of any issues. So please don't try and throw a scare card here, because that's what it sounds. That's what Don. Excuse me. That's what it sounds like to me. And all I'm asking for is a peer review. And if there's some fear of a peer review, that's volumes.
You can ask the developer if he's willing to fund that. No problem.
Well, that's going to be on him.
All right, so how do we want to leave this?
Well, at this point, I do not want to approve this irrigation well. I will let the other board members speak for themselves, and if they choose differently, so be it. I just have some strong feelings about this because drinking water is very important in this community, and I'm not getting the feeling that we're really getting an in-depth shake on it. Nothing taking away from what you have said, Don. That is one man's profession. You know much more than I do, and I don't pretend to know more than that. I just think when it comes to drinking water, we need to explore any and all aspects, because that's all we have in this town.
I understand.
That's all. I'm not, you know, throwing aspersions against your work or anything else, but it's one opinion. And this is a very important matter. And this Board of Health is responsible to this community. And I don't take that lightly. I live here. I'm not an outside vendor. I'm not an outside developer. Maybe I've lived here too long, but that's the nuts and bolts of it.
I respect that.
So Sue, Bobby, what do you think?
Well, one question I'd like to ask, are they allowed to irrigate their lawns with their water, potable water from the condos right now, Brian?
Yeah, you can't stand the
No, that has not been factored into the withdrawal of the public water supply wells. So they should not be irrigating their areas with the public water supply wells.
So maybe you're gonna put stone down or something. I'm not sure, but I just thought it should have been factored into a project from the beginning.
Good point.
You know.
So, yeah, that causes the zone 1 circles to be bigger and the withdrawal of the well to be larger and that whole thing. And that's why they don't typically do that. And it's but something that's only a few months a year.
Coming to us, excuse me, yes. Why are you coming to us after the fact, though, for the irrigation, if it's a basic thing for all these projects? You know, that I guess is the question too.
Yeah, I can't answer that. Again, I was only involved after this project was taken over by the current owner. So, you know, I don't know why. I will say on most projects I work on, the irrigation well is something that is usually pursued after the public wells are developed. So I don't know why they didn't do it earlier. It's just, I guess it's not common to do it that way in my experience anyways. Maybe it should be, you know.
Yeah, I think it should be, but you know, that it would save this stuff, you know.
Right. I just want to make one comment. If would this be equally concerning if there was the equivalent of like 22 4-bedroom homes with private wells, like a subdivision? Would that also be as equally concerning, or is this because it's concentrated in one, like in one well, you know?
Yeah. Are you talking, Don, are you talking a subdivision that each unit has a potable water supply well, and then what they do relative to irrigation? I just want to be clear on
yeah, that. You know, if this was an individual subdivision, individual lots with private wells that they would be using for their own irrigation that way, would that still, I'm just asking if that would be the same concern, or if it's more concern because it's coming from one irrigation well instead of, you know, spread out throughout the site. You know?
Yeah, that's what worries me.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's the same withdrawal. That's kind of what I'm getting at, and it's still less than the recharge that occurs on the site.
Well, it would be good if we had already experienced that, and I could give you a very clear answer. But we haven't run into that. We have very few irrigation wells in town, and they're usually farm related.
Okay.
You know, good question, but. Don't have an answer that parallels this situation, or a situation that parallels this. I mean,
yeah.
the concentration is certainly part of the issue. At
Okay.
least it is for me.
Our golf course doesn't even have an irrigation well. It's got a pond that recharges itself. They have to rely on that pond and not over pump it, you know, so, and that's mostly surface water, but.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to see it looked at a little further, Brian. That's my opinion. Not Bobby Wheeler. So.
I don't really know enough to ask intelligent questions.
But how do you feel about pushing this down the road for a little more investigation? That's the question at hand.
I am all for that. I'd like to get everybody a fair shake.
Yep.
Okay.
It may turn out fine. But.
All right, so it sounds like you're looking for a peer review, and
that would be something. Excuse me, Don. That would be the place to start with the developer. Yes.
do you want to find the peer reviewer, and so obviously the developer is going to fund that?
I think this board would like to consult with our Conservation Commission relative to that. Because off the top of my head, I do not have a name. So I would go to people who within the town deal with that a little more frequently.
Okay.
And they would be able to look at your information, correct, Brian? Or Dawn, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have the memo there.
Yep.
Yep.
It's public. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
So if there's anything else you need, let us know. I guess we'll wait to hear from you on that. I know obviously you're going to ask the developer to fund the cost of that. So, we need to know whatever that number is and have a
Absolutely.
have that funded.
We will gather that information and get back to the developer and copy you as well.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. So that we're going to vote to continue that, Paul, that hearing?
Yes.
Okay, so do we take a vote on that or not? No? Or just, we don't have
Is that really a hearing or a discussion, Bill?
Discussion.
Discussion. So.
Oh, there's a hearing slated for later tonight, right, Billy?
Not for that topic.
Not for that
okay.
topic.
Oh, okay. Oh, terrific. That's good then. So we're good. Yep.
Yeah, we are.
No vote needed. Yep.
Okay.
Terrific.
We're a little late for our
Yes, we are.
first hearing.
Our apologies.
Who's the first one?
Stephen Sears for Dave Mollica, Lot 2, 88 Pleasant Street.
Okay.
And I see Tony. Oh, Jill Mollica is with us.
Yeah.
Jill, could you unmute, please?
Tony is for the 32 West Street, and Mike is, I think.
There she is.
We're here.
We're here.
Steve isn't though. Is that a problem?
We just need Steve or somebody. Or no?
No, Steve usually allows me to present or calls in if necessary.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So I think, Sue, if you have that plan.
Yep. I'm just gonna find, I got 32 West Street.
No, we're 88 Pleasant.
88 Pleasant.
I know.
88 Pleasant.
I had a lot of pieces up. Now I just gotta find them. Just bear with me. Stare at the handsome guys.
What channel are you on?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm the handsome guy. I'm right here.
There you go. Hi, David.
All right, at least we got somebody.
Oh, I'm glad somebody stepped up. Yeah, just, yeah, email is. Okay, Bill, why don't you start talking while I try to find it?
Well, I can go through the variance list with or without the plan in front of us. I mean, the variances being requested are pretty similar to most we see on upgrades.
Right, let's do that.
So the first is 3N, no reserve area shown. Again, this is an upgrade to a failed system. So a primary is being proposed, but no reserve is shown. 2 percolation tests. Actually, it was too wet to perk this soil. So we actually did a sieve test, which again is allowed by the state code for upgrades to existing homes. 4E, hydraulic overloading. Maximum discharge of effluent is 440 gallons per day per acre. And we've got a 4-bedroom home on point, so about 3/4 of an acre. But again, it's an existing home on an existing lot. 4F is distances. which is the offset from the leach area to the property line. So Sue, I think you've got sheet.
It's on the
One show. We actually, if you show sheet 2 of 2, we'll actually show the site.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so 20 feet is proposed to property line versus the 25 the local regs require, and 10 is the state's minimum offset. Like another offset distance, leach area and tank off of, you can see that open drainage ditch kind of to the right of the plan. Leach area 45 feet and septic tank, probably a similar offset.
It's basically dry, that ditch.
Right, but again, the town has a offset to all open.
Yep.
And this is the old offset. So actually, this variance probably went away with the revisions. I think this letter was prepared prior to that change. I think the board went to 50 feet, which actually this would meet in the state's offset, I think is 10.
Okay.
And lastly, 5C, which is the groundwater offset. This plan currently shows Presby bed 4 feet above water table. Again, the town has revised their 5 feet to 4. So this meets the town's 5, but there is a discussion of possibly lowering this to 2 foot, which is allowed by the Presby DEP approval. But again, the plan before us shows a 4. So that 5C actually isn't needed, but probably should be discussed in case a redesign is done. So that's the list. I don't know if there's any questions. There's also a local upgrade approval. Again, just reiterate the sieve test was done versus a percolation test.
When you say zip test?
Sieve. Yep, a sieve test.
Oh, ZIV, I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah, they dry
Billy,
it and they send it through a series of screens, and they send us back a report that indicates what type of soil it is. And basically we use the slowest loading rate based on the soil type that's given to us in the report.
They're going to have to come back for another hearing, though, if we revise that.
Not if we just tonight. Again, it is on the list of variances being requested. So, you know, what you'd see is the same exact plan, which with 2 foot lower, you know, with the grading all around the system.
Right.
The mound itself would be 2 foot lower. So I think it would be wise to discuss that where it is in the variance request letter.
Well, I don't have a problem with it. I just, I don't personally, if it's okay, if it's through the state, we've done it before, lowered it, and you know, I have no issue with it. But I don't know about anybody else, but I would think you want to get it in there now, you know, or at least have us write it down that it's being asked for.
Right.
Yeah, and the reason the state approval, I think, allows for that 2 foot groundwater offset is, again, the Presby is viewed as applying additional treatment over a conventional system. The state code would allow you to go to a 3 foot offset with a conventional pipe and stone, but the Presby approval actually allows 2 foot offset.
Okay, I see. Right. Which saves a lot of excavation and money, you know.
Well, it does. It you know, it's an attempt to minimize the impact on the existing yard, but also still supply adequate environmental protection.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, and the rest are basic. We've taken two of them away, actually, right, Billy? 2 of the.
Yeah, the offset to the ditch, and
yeah.
Actually, again, as designed, 5C wouldn't be needed, but again, there is a discussion of lowering that. And Jill and Dave might, you know, be able to weigh in on that.
Hi, Stephen.
Who is the engineer on this?
Steve Sears.
Steve? Okay, all right. No, I don't.
He wants to be unmuted. Tell him.
Oh, Steve, I guess is trying to get into the meeting and needs to be unmuted. He's calling us.
Oh, that's why I see it's a call from his home phone. I didn't answer it.
Well, we'll try to get Stephen up.
Just let me know if you're on.
Yeah, hold on for a sec. I have to stop. Oh, there they are. It moved my bar.
He says he's been listening to the whole thing, but he's been muted. So,
Does he have any comments, David?
do you have any comments?
Okay, I think
I
I'm
do. How did I
unmuted
do?
now.
Okay.
Oh, here he is.
Oh,
Think you had or some.
yeah.
He hung up on us. So,
I think you had him on there for a second.
I did. And he's just on the phone, right?
Correct.
Yes.
he was just on our phone, but he hung up.
Can you hear me now?
There
Yes.
he is.
Go ahead.
Hi, Steve. Sorry for the rough treatment.
I've been pulling my hair out trying to figure out how to unmute myself. No, Bill, you did a wonderful job.
Thanks, Stephen. Sorry I didn't pick up your call. I didn't recognize the number.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you covered everything. Basically, I just wanted to go over the amended regulation V C is the groundwater offset. Typically, your board has always wanted the most extreme groundwater offset. So we've always asked for 4 foot from a reduction from 5 foot. However, recently talking to Bill the other day, he said the Presby has now adopted regulations to allow 2 foot groundwater offset instead of a 4 foot. And I think I wanted to just kind of amend that regulation that we're asking for. If the board is uncomfortable with 2, even a 3 foot groundwater offset instead of the 4 foot would be a big improvement.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many of these you've had with the 2 foot groundwater offset approved.
Yeah, not many, I don't think so.
I can't think of a 2 foot offset, but doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
We could be the first.
Yeah.
That could be a double-edged sword, but
Right.
So again, Title V requires a 4 foot groundwater offset. Even if we can get a local upgrade approval for the 3 foot groundwater offset, that's going to help this situation tremendously.
I'd be happy.
Pardon me?
Go ahead. Don't let me interrupt you, Steve.
The other part of this is if you're looking at the plan, they did talk to me about the shed may be removed, and that way there we would eliminate that retaining wall and the grading would stay the same as the rest of the grading around the sides.
Yes. And that'd be a little nicer for everybody, for them and everybody, I think. Yeah.
And that was just talk with, I did talk to Jill about a week ago about that. I hadn't got back to her because I was out of the office. And I mean, Bill went over all the variances requested. And with that one groundwater offset, we're asking for an amendment instead of the 4 foot. We're asking for either the 2 or 3 foot, whatever the board feels comfortable with, obviously.
Paul, where do you weigh in on this?
I would weigh in on, I'd be a little more comfortable with the 3 foot offset. 2 foot even though Presby, I mean, we don't have any experience with that one.
The 3, we'd be setting some set of precedents, but the new regulations allow. 2, I think we'd be pushing the envelope a little bit. So I'd like a 3, and that is a reduction, correct?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yep. And it would make it a little nicer for them, for this system. Or for the installer, everybody.
Any other concerns? Paul, Bill? Paul?
No, it's, I mean, a lot of these are tough situations, so we try and make the best we can out of them.
Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested variances with a 3-foot groundwater offset.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Sue?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Paul? Aye as well.
Motion passed.
You guys are all set.
Okay, thank you very much. What we'll do is we'll revise the plan and get copies back to Bill.
Yeah.
We'll double check with David and Jill regarding the shed removal, if that's going to happen, and I can incorporate that too in my revisions.
Right.
And then Bill can get the proper permit made out.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Welcome, you
thank you
guys.
for unmuting me.
Always.
Sorry to bother you, Stephen. We know you're retired, but
Oh no, I'm semi-retired.
I know. I'm kidding you.
All right. Thank you
Thank
again.
you.
All right. Next we have Mike. Team, I'll never say this name right. Mike.
DeMonica.
DeMonica.
Yes.
All right. And let me see. Do I have everybody up?
You get Tony Molina for that one too.
Yeah.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Before this starts, I'm going to have to recuse myself of this. I have no problem with it, but I have to recuse myself because I am a former owner of the property. So, okay, guys, sorry.
Okay.
No worries. Thank you.
No problem. For some reason, my video is not working, but my name is Mike DeMonica. I'm representing Tony.
Oh, Jesus, no. Sorry.
Tony Molina on his proposed project at 32 West Street. It's an existing 3-bedroom dwelling that failed a Title V inspection, I believe. And we have similar variance requests as the previous applicant. And we've also proposed to put in a Presby type innovative alternative technology. There's no proposed change to the design flow. It's an existing 3-bedroom and we're going to keep it as such. We did soil evaluation out there. It was dry enough and we found suitable soils deep enough. Our perk rate was 15 minutes an inch and our water tables varied between 44 and 48 inches. Not sure if we could get the plan up to...
I'm working on sharing it.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So we are looking for the similar variances as the previous applicant, 3N reserve area. As I said, it's a existing dwelling. We're just proposing a reserve, no reserve. It's a 4B, which would be the deep test holes. Or we did 2 deep test holes in the primary area. Oh, great, thank you. And 4D perk tests, and then 4F distances. There is a wetland on the on the other side of West Street that we would be 93 feet away from. We are greater than 100 feet from all wells on site and at abutters as well. And then the last item, which was not on the variance request, was 5C for offset to groundwater. We did as well design based on the March 15th, 2022 approval for Presby from the state for a 2-foot offset to the groundwater we observed on site. And the reason for that was the existing plumbing, we could do all of the work by gravity as opposed to having to put a pump chamber and a pump in if we were to use the 2-foot offset. If we were to have to go to 3 feet or 4, or definitely not be able to be done by gravity. 3 foot, I don't believe we could either, because the pipe is fairly shallow. It comes across the paved driveway from the dwelling and would go to the new septic tank. So I think that would be the extent of my presentation. You can kind of see the outline in magenta is the proposed septic area. So the Presby bed would be approximately 32 by 12.5. And a 1,500 gallon monolithic septic tank is proposed. You can see in orange is where there's an existing cesspool that's close to Route 62. We would pump that and crush it and fill in place. And the existing septic tank is shown in orange as well, which is kind of in the beginning of the Presby bed. I could take any questions from the board as such.
Okay.
So if you were to go with a 3-foot offset, it would require a pump chamber, correct?
Yes, yes, it would. What would really happen was it would require a pump chamber. We would have to try and squeeze it in. There's some rock and ledge outcroppings as you go up towards the trees that are shown on the it'd be a tight squeeze. And I've done quite a few of the Presby pipes with 2-foot offset, but basically it's not even 2 because the pipe has 6 inches of sand underneath it. So it's really 2.5 feet of soil beneath the pipe.
My concern is that we just the previous hearing bumped somebody from 2 feet to 3 feet. And in your case, 3 feet is doable. It's just setting up a slightly different system with a pump chamber. Comments from the board?
Well, since I'm the only other person, they can comment.
Well, that's true, Sue. Thank you for correcting me there.
I really think where we just pushed back on the previous hearing that we wanted a 3-foot, I think we kind of have to stick to the 3 feet.
Well, that's my opinion also. It would be, just wouldn't be right, wouldn't be fair to go with 2 in this case where 3 is possible. So
and I agree with you to some extent. I'm just wondering the circumstances of the previous owner, if they would be able to make the whole project by gravity as opposed to having to pump irregardless. It's a under maximum feasible compliance, the cost of the pump and pump chamber is probably going to be somewhere around $4,000 to $7,000 to the homeowner. That's the only case that I would have.
Understood, but you know, given that this town is well and septic, when you buy a property in this community, you know, you're expected to meet certain codes, and it's not the town's issue or the board's issue whether there's a pump chamber or not. It's what system do you need? I understand what you're saying, but it's not an area that we can get involved in, because if we did that, every single hearing we come across would be rife with exceptions, and we try and be consistent.
Okay, so have you done the Presby before, or is it these are the first two that you've had?
Oh no, there have been other Presbys in town.
Okay, and nobody's gotten a 2-foot offset?
No.
Okay.
Always a 4. Excuse
Always
me.
a 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're willing to do a 3.
Okay. You know, I'm not going to sit here and battle out. I mean, I put my case on the table, and if that's what the board says, that's what we have to live with.
I appreciate the attitude, because that's just the way it has to work, unfortunately, in your case.
Okay. And Bill, any questions?
No, again, upgrading to what we suspect is a failed system. We didn't have an official Title V, but obviously better than what's there.
Well, it would have, yeah, I mean, the leach pit was clearly in the groundwater. So it's a significant upgrade to, you know, what's there. I mean, the only thing I would say again is the treatment zone is really the pipe itself. And you would have 2.5 feet, but you know, it at the end of the day, you're going to make the decision, and we'll live with it however you see fit.
Okay.
Very good.
Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested variances with a 3-foot offset for the Presby system.
Okay.
You need to
I'll second that. Sue?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. So the variance is granted.
And you can write down I recuse myself, please.
We already did.
Okay.
All right.
Mike.
Yes.
So you think you can move the plumbing up in the house a little and raise the grade of the driveway slightly?
So I'm not sure about the plumbing inside. The plumbing is fairly close to the sill elevation now. So
Bobby, that's a conversation to have after the meeting, not now.
Yeah, because we have another hearing right after this.
Okay, sorry.
This has been voted on. We move on. You can have this conversation off meeting.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, I'll get you a revised plan.
Yeah, we'll talk about the other comments if we can catch up tomorrow by phone.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I think it's next is Gates Pond Road, Bill?
Well, actually, that's a new lot. The agenda was a little bit off with the times. 8:15 was the continuation of 263 West Street, the flat penny. Because Gates Pond Road doesn't need a hearing. It's a straightforward new lot with no variance. But 8:15 we had given to Jack for the continuation of the 263 West Street hearing. He's unable to attend tonight. He just got the peer review comments. We literally got DEP comments this afternoon. So we'd like to bump that out. So we have to pick a date and time to continue that hearing again.
Okay.
Next meeting? Or?
Well, again, I'm going to be in Maine, and I can't guarantee I'll even be able to be in touch by phone or computer because I don't know what it's like at Moosehead Lake.
Oh,
you
Moosehead.
I may be truly on vacation.
Yeah.
That might be a first.
Yes.
No sickness at all, Bill.
So I don't know, you know, we could bump it to the 19th. I know we've got that other hearing already scheduled for that night. Actually, I think we have two. So.
Which other hearings are those, Billy?
We have condemnation at 7:30, and we've got Mark Rhodes at 7:45.
His is a basic one, isn't it? Did they get it straightened out to a basic?
What's that?
The roads was just a sewer line.
That's just a long sewer line. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And the other condemnation, I would put it up that day if it's all right.
Well, or should we push the condemnation hearing off for 2 weeks? I don't want to do this, Bill, without you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but did Paul tell you I've got a conflict? My son was supposed to leave for New Mexico on the 19th, and now he's leaving on the 20th. So I need to be around to possibly get him and scouts to the airport. So I could be available by phone that night. Again, Mark has advertised his hearing as in person because, again, before I knew about my conflict, that was the plan, meet in person on the 19th for the condemnation hearing, and then obviously Mark's septic hearing. So I guess that's what we need to decide tonight.
Yes.
What about moving the meeting date that week? Any options there later in the week?
Well, it's already been advertised, hasn't it, for a date?
I think Rhodes has. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be definitely the case.
Well, maybe move the other one out.
Well, we can go ahead with the Rhodes hearing. That sounds pretty straightforward. The condemnation hearing, maybe we push it out.
That's what I'm recommending.
I mean, it's not like,
right. Yeah.
It's not like it's been on the edge for very long.
Well, the board, Paul, you remember our discussions with Council on Aging, you know, we set it months out to give him a window to hopefully respond, which
correct.
A couple more weeks, unfortunately, probably won't make a difference.
Yeah, I don't think it will personally.
So that would just involve me drafting a new notice and send certified to whatever the board decides.
I'm good with whatever it's you come up with, you and Susan. And you.
Well,
God, we're all through July already. Oh.
It's pretty scary, isn't it?
It sure is.
I don't want to do this without Bill. I am
no, absolutely. We look at August 2nd.
All right.
August 2nd.
That would be the first next meeting, second meeting.
Correct.
Yeah. 1st of August. Yep.
I'm just looking at my calendar. It's the day they get back from New Mexico. I'm not sure.
No,
I was going to keep that one.
Perfect.
I don't have to go through this twice. So, I mean, do you want to be super safe and go August 16th with condemnation?
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
It's 7:30.
Yeah.
We should be free and clear at that point.
Very good.
And we'll keep Rhodes on for the 19th. Now, what about 263 West Street?
Yeah.
Keep that on the 19th?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we only got Rhodes, right?
Yes.
You can fill us in with information in the peer review before then, right, Billy? Or
well, yeah, the engineer, Jack, is responding to both the peer review and Department of Environmental Protection comments.
Okay. So there will be some better changes to that to make it a little nicer, or everything's pretty good? Or
Well, they'll address both letters. Yeah.
very
Okay.
good.
Bill, what do we have for 7/5, July 5th?
I have nothing because I knew I wasn't going to be here.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to load that meeting up if I wasn't going to be around.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have anything. 'Cause I didn't know what other board members' availabilities were, but I certainly will not be here.
Maybe that's our summer break.
I was just going to propose that we do not have a meeting on July 5th.
Peace. And I'm usually at the island. And
Usually, yeah, you are.
I changed the week. Oh my God. Another issue, sounds good to me, but another issue I was thinking, I would like to take it off. The other issue is, do we have to draft a letter to CASA builders, Paul, and the conservation, or about that peer review?
Well, I'm going to call Carolyn directly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll probably put some written blurb together and have Donna send it to Concom, and just taking it out of a verbal request and making it a written request.
Yep, no, we can get that to Dawn and to Brian, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, when did we schedule Mark Rhodes to?
7/19.
He's the 19th at 7:45.
Thank you.
7:45, yeah.
Line, okay.
Okay.
So that gives us 45 minutes of nothing, right?
Well, there'll be other non-timed information, I'm sure, prior to that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, for 263 West and all that. Yep, okay.
Stop kicking.
Okay.
So do you want to, if we're going to move the condemnation hearing that was at 7:30 on the 19th, you want to slide 263 West Street in at 7:30, just so it doesn't prolong the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Good thinking.
July 19th, August 16th. Okay.
I can't believe August. We're talking.
Okay,
about
so the
August.
9th.
You'll have time to review the peer review, Bill?
Yeah, I should.
Okay.
Give us some comments.
I know there's some people itching for a Mexican restaurant. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
I don't care for Mexican food. I'm good.
As I said, I kind of
You
like.
like margaritas. You don't have to eat the food, but you know.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay.
I just would just sell clams and get back to, a basic, but you never know.
All right. We have still a bunch of things to deal with tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Berlin General Store.
Yeah, we finally got their tobacco sales permit application. So Paul, I will leave that on the desk Thursday, but I'll text you to confirm.
Okay.
That's the last vendor.
Okay.
You heard anything from Joan relative to the Senni's second violation?
Did they have one since the one we had the hearing on?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
I thought I sent it to everybody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was thinking that was a non-payment.
No, that was.
No, we got the first payment finally.
Yeah, no, they got hit again on was it the May 30th?
Wow.
Yeah, so now it's $2,000, and then they have to pull tobacco. But the way the letter was written, some of the dates didn't make any sense. Because one of the dates said that something about Friday on the 17th, and it actually was a Thursday, and they said they couldn't sell tobacco from July this to July that, and I'm like, did they mean July and not June? But I don't know.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was the second one.
Right.
So,
and that those fines go right into our budget.
The general fund.
I don't
Goes
know.
into no. Not a chance, right? No.
Yeah,
Not that
would
we
be
want
nice.
Yeah, but we don't want them. It is,
No.
yeah.
Okay. How about the DEP water survey?
I put that on there, Sue, because you said you were going to forward it to me. I haven't had a chance to look at it, so I don't know how the board wants to handle that. If you want to get together in the office and take a peek at it together, or is it about private wells, or what's the?
Was it the PFAS?
I don't know. I didn't open it up.
Oh, okay.
You don't want me answering those questions.
I'll have to search for the email.
I mean, water, I turn my faucet on, water comes out. What more do I need to know?
That it's clean, hon. No.
Looks clean.
There you go.
Okay. Writing Bill's name down with a star. Coburn Road response.
Yeah. So the board and anyone CC'd on the original violation letter, including DEP, got a copy of the response to the noise complaint.
Yep.
And I think they were looking for like a 6-month window to complete. I don't know how the board feels. Maybe talk to selectmen, see what they think. But Michelle at the state thought that was a bit of a long time frame for compliance. So yeah, I don't know if the board wants to talk to the selectmen about a tighter time frame, but you know, if something's decided, we'll let the owner know.
He has done some mitigation already, though, Billy, correct?
I don't know that for sure. It sounds like in the response he did.
Yeah. Maybe one of us should go speak with him before talking to the board and see what mitigation, besides me, and see what mitigation has already been taking place to maybe.
Yeah, and to see if there's a way to speed that time frame up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, the selectmen hold the license there, so you know they may want to be involved in the discussion.
Okay, whatever you think, Billy.
I'll contact the select board. I got to talk to them about something else.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Get a read from them, and then I can talk to Vaughn, or I'll get hold of you, Bobby, and you know, just
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and hearing notices. Yeah, we've discussed the 7/19 is going to be in person, and the 8/16 is going to be in person. 7/5 is canceled. The meeting. That leaves what, 8/2?
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to be.
Wait a minute. You said 7/5 is in person? I didn't think we were having.
No, that's canceled.
Canceled.
We canceled that one.
Right. Okay.
7/19.
The 7/19 is in person.
All right.
8/16 is in person. So now we're setting those in stone.
Yeah.
And 8/2, we'd like to do Zoom if we're allowed.
Yeah, I guess we don't know that yet, right?
Right. So I will ask to see if we can get, you know, Zoom booked, because I only had Zoom booked up through the end of June. So I will take that on.
Yeah, there's been a talk about a possible extension, I think, by the governor for the Zoom meetings, but I don't think there's been anything official yet.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're all trained on Zoom, I don't want you to forget your training. I think we should continue on at least one time a month, just, and that way down the road when I go on vacation or travel, I can still join you all.
You've done it. Both you girls have done a great job on Zoom already, and keeping.
No, it's not me. It's her.
No, whatever. It's been working when we need it.
So, you know, the biggest thing we have, Donna and I have coming up are the accruals. You know, we have to tell them what bills we're going to be getting in the beginning of July.
Yeah.
Sale of stickers.
Yes, I just got to say stickers.
We got the stickers.
And how is our transfer station running? Shouldn't ask, or it's good?
All's quiet on the western front.
That sounds good, Paul.
Donna,
Yeah.
how would you feel about working 2 Saturdays for 4 hours each at the transfer station? And it's okay, you can tell us your true feelings.
Well, I'm scheduled to work on July 2nd. And Pete's not going to be there. So I think 4 hours is not enough for that day. Maybe, I don't know. Should I be there the whole time? Because, you know, I got Doug in town, you know,
Right.
If you're game, I think traditionally that first Saturday in the new year is usually pretty busy, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 The first 2, I usually did the 8s, and then I went down to the 4, but I could do 8 and then 4 the next one. What's the date of the next one?
9th.
The 9th. Oh, it's my sister's birthday. Yeah, I could do that one.
Okay.
So maybe I'll do like 8 and 4. I mean, I don't know. It's up to you guys. But I think I need to be there for 8 hours.
Let's go with 8 hours on the 2nd.
Okay.
And then we'll play it by ear on the 2nd Saturday.
Okay, that sounds fine.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
Oh, we have that new Gates Pond Road lot that doesn't have a time. Hopefully you got a plan. The engineer did say he was going to send it.
Gates Pond Road?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it Marlboro Road or Gates, Billy?
Gates.
It's actually Gates, huh? Whoa.
Yeah, it's towards the it's towards 62. They've already cleared it. On the right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's off of Donnie Wright's property there? Or?
Beyond Don's, yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
But is that by Carolyn's, down by from the Board of Health? I mean, from the Conservation?
I don't know where she lives.
Well, Donnie Wright owned from, you know, everything on the right as soon as you went down there, pretty much. But then after the barn, it's after the barn then, Billy?
No, before.
Oh, before, okay, yeah. It's before Fosgate Road then?
Oh, yeah. It's adjacent to street number 56.
Okay.
What? Oh, this thing, hold on. I got to see if I can rotate.
Oh, there you go.
How's that?
Now I know where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the next sheet should show the layout.
That's up on the hill, huh, Bill?
Now I have to go back.
Yes.
To the email and open up they sent them separately. Here we go.
Yep. So this is pretty straightforward. With the change in the regs, no variances needed. The only one that would have been needed would just be the time of year the testing was done. We tested there.
And this will be a gravity feed, Billy? By the
looks. House on the hill, well actually further up the hill behind it. And you can see gravity to a 1,500 gallon tank. And then they're actually proposing a Presby bed. We were out there December 1st.
Oh, geez. Now, this is right up adjacent to the one up on the hill that's there now, Billy, down a little further. Is that the idea? The little ranch that was up there?
I don't know that there's any houses up on this hill. The houses on Gates Pond when you first come in are all right near the street.
Yeah, but there's a one on the right. It's on the right, you said, right?
Yeah, it's probably there's probably 2 or 3 houses. Oh, that first house is up on the hill. That's 11.
Yeah, that one. It's between that one and the other one, or
no. Then there's a few houses near the street, and then this lot, and then another 2 houses near the street.
Yeah.
And then you start approaching Fosgate. But again, it's cleared. If you go by there, you'll see.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. That was Donnie Wright on that. Remember he had maple, he was tapping maple trees here for a while.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Very good. Well, I'm okay with it, as long as there's no issues.
Paul, any issues?
Nope, new construction, no variances.
I'm okay with it. Paul is. He's signing the, he'll sign it.
Okay.
And that's it.
Did I miss 40 Highland Street?
Well, that was just a discussion of the hearing notices. There was an abutter that went to the town hall versus the Zoom meeting, and I've been playing phone tag with the abutter to come look at
Is that Donna?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's why we're trying to schedule them out and identify whether it's Zoom or in person now. So there's no confusion going forward.
All righty.
Yep.
And they're satisfied now, Billy, pretty much?
I haven't caught up with them. Been playing phone tag for a couple of weeks, but again, left a message this morning that I'm there Tuesday and Thursdays, or available other times by appointment to look at the plan and the variances.
Okay.
You know, if there's a strong concern, I would invite them to a meeting.
Right. I don't know. Yes. That was pretty straightforward, that one.
But again, an upgrade to an existing home. I think once explained, I've never had anyone have an issue, because again, what's going in the ground is better than what's there, big time.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I think sometimes the general public really kind of forgets that, you know, we're not trying to put anybody out of an existing house. And you know, they get hung up on a wetlands thing or whatever, and understandably so. It's just that they're not real clear on what the whole situation is, you know.
Yeah, and I think, Paul, the word variance kind of has a negative connotation, especially with new construction, but on an existing house.
Yep.
Exactly.
You do the best you can.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're doing better every day, I think, truthfully, trying to get
We've upgraded a lot of systems.
Yeah. We're coming out of the dinosaur age a little bit.
Yeah.
Better than the outhouses.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Do we have anything else?
Did we miss 261 Pleasant Street well variance?
I'm gonna stop putting that on because I haven't, you know.
Okay.
He met me in the office once, and I really haven't seen him since.
Okay. I just need to make notes on them, so that's all.
You could say we could bump it, but again, I think I'm just going to wait till I get something submitted.
Yep, that's fine. Okay.
And I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I will second that motion.
All right. All in favor? Sue?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. And thank you, everyone.
Billy?
All right. Good night.